Hey everybody, Mo here. Today we're talking about September sales figures for the state of Michigan, a new investor letter from Cresco Labs CEO Charlie Buchtel, an SEC filing made by Curaleaf today which gives us some more details on the Los Suenos acquisition we talked about in the last episode, and a few other things as well. Welcome to the Tuesday, October 12th edition of Mary Jane Markets. This is a show covering the developing news of the North American cannabis sector every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or thereabouts. I also analyze a few of its operators: Cresco Labs, Curaleaf, Green Thumb Industries, and TRUL. The goal here is to do all of the due diligence I normally do as an investor in these companies and then provide that to you in a concise episode so you can stay updated and hopefully you find that valuable. Real quick before jumping into things, let's see how the market has fared over the last couple of days. Some of you guys may know that I'm not a day trader, so what I see is 2 days of random buying and selling. There's been no or very little fundamental news this week. Cresco, Curaleaf, and GTII all trading about flat for the week. TRUL though tanked 4.5% today on no news whatsoever, so the market's irrationality might be your opportunity if you find these prices attractive. The last two charts I have up there are the S&P and the NASDAQ, and that's just to put our sector into context with the broader market. And as you can see, those are down about 0.5%. Not a huge change, but indicative of broader economic concerns. Alright, switching over to sector commentary. The state of Michigan has reported sales figures for the month of September. On the medicinal side, sales were down quite a bit, falling to around 36 million. Last month's medicinal sales total was just over $40 million. Every product type that they break this segment up into fell in terms of quantity sold. A little bit of a different story playing out on the adult use side, where sales did fall to $124.8 million compared to last month's $125.5. However, if I overlay last month's quantities sold, apologize that copy-paste is kind of rough, but this was the cleanest way I could do it. But you can see, comparing September to August now, in every single product type, more product sold in the month of September. I'm going to reset my view while we talk through this next part. So we sold more in terms of quantity, but ended up with less in terms of dollars. Ignore this. This is a typo they still haven't fixed yet. These are in fact sales figures for the month of September. So this is something we want to make sense of since we have operators in this state. For example, in the last episode, we talked about how Cresco Labs has expanded their cultivation facility in the state. For those of you who have listened to other episodes where I've covered sales data coming out of these states, you'll recognize this as a familiar trend across the nation. And you know what I'm going to say next, that this is being driven by prices in maturing markets coming down. So if we scroll down a bit, Michigan also provides some pricing data. So they make public the average retail flower price for the month of September. For the ounce, that was $203.84 compared to last month where it was $222.42. So prices have fallen 8.3% in the last month. Like I've been saying in my previous episodes, this is all good for the market overall. As prices come down, we'll convert people from the illicit market to the legal market, and that effect is clearly noticeable in the quantity sold month over month, which we just looked at. But again, for this particular month in this particular state, that conversion wasn't quite large enough to offset the reduction in price, but in the long term it will be. Speaking of long term, I always encourage people to look at the big picture. Last year, sales in Michigan totaled $985 million for all of 2020. And so far, through September 31st, sales to date are coming in at $1.47 billion. And there's still a whole other quarter to go. So do not get worried about month-to-month fluctuations. And I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but the total medicinal sales plus recreational sales for the month of September came in at $161.3 million. All right, shifting over to company-specific news. CEO of Cresco Labs, Charlie Buchtel, yesterday released a new investor letter, really a one-page status update. If you're interested in receiving these, they don't publish them on the IR page for some reason, but you can sign up there. Just navigate to investors.crescolabs.com and scroll all the way down, and you can submit your email address to receive the filings that you want. Of course, if there's anything material to cover, I will do so here on this channel, but turning back to the letter, Charlie briefly recaps the moves the company has recently made: the Blair Wellness acquisition in Maryland, the Cure Pen acquisition in Pennsylvania, and the Cultivate acquisition in Massachusetts, all of which we've covered in previous episodes. For anyone new interested, I'll see if I can figure out how to link those episodes at the end, or else I'll end up linking them in the description below. But we did some good due diligence there by analyzing those transactions, and I think it's worth checking out. He goes on to describe the reasoning behind the change in strategy to mostly owned brand distribution in California, something we also discussed in episode 20. 2024. He also brings up that the Q3 earnings call has been scheduled, but really the only new information in this newsletter is the second to last paragraph here, where he discusses what's ahead for the rest of 2021, which he lists as new Sunnyside stores in Florida, brand launches, product innovations, and first harvests in Michigan. So it looks like for the rest of the year, Charlie's focus is going to be on those multi-billion-dollar Florida and Michigan markets, as well as integrating those Pennsylvania and Massachusetts acquisitions. And then it looks like we have some surprises to look forward to with upcoming brand launches and product innovations. Not sure what's in store there, but hopefully we won't have to wait too long to find out. All right, jumping over to a filing made today by Curaleaf to the SEC. This is regarding their Los Suenos acquisition that provides some more details that we didn't get from just the press release, which we looked at in the last episode. So we're getting some final numbers here around this transaction, which closed on October 4th. As we talked about in the last episode, it was announced back in May. For anyone that didn't, I do recommend going back and watching the last episode. That will put all of this into context. The closing price of CURA on the CSE the day preceding the news was $15.20. That's Canadian dollars. And so the number of securities issued, that's the number of shares in this transaction, were 2,539,474, which brings the total number of shares outstanding from around 607 million to 609,710,099. So a little bit less dilution than the back of the napkin math we did the other day. I believe we had said 0.5% back on Saturday. And the actual figure is slightly lower than that, around 0.4%. I was off on the share count, but there is a good reason for that. If we hop down to the acquisition details, on May 17th, it was announced that this deal would be for approximately $67 million. That has changed based on some adjustments. It's come down to approximately, in aggregate, $60.1 million, of which the cash is staying approximately the same, around $19 or $20 million, but the share issuance has come down quite a bit to $30.5 million. So that's why we're seeing the discrepancy there. That 5-year note is still there. And if you're interested in the details, it's all here in the filing, but they say it's based on pre-closing adjustments for working capital, net indebtedness, and transaction expenses. We'll have other news stories for you real quick. We're getting some more details on the lawsuits in Oregon against Curaleaf because of their labeling mistake in a batch of CBD and THC products. I know I've been sort of dismissive of these, but I don't mean to trivialize them. This is a very serious thing that happened, caused some of these people great distress. Benzinga here sort of summarized a few of these cases. As you can see, there was some very serious fallout. From my perspective, as a long-term value investor, I don't see these cases as bankrupting the company or having any significant impact on value. That is the lens that I am choosing to present things on this show, and that's why I've been breezing over this stuff. All right, moving on to the next topic. TRUL has released a new investor presentation. So this is a good overview of the company if you're a new investor and want to learn about them. It also includes information on the recent Harvest Health acquisition, as well as the resulting status of the company. They're also in the process of rebranding those Harvest stores down in Florida to TRULeaf, and there's some nice information in here about their hub and spoke strategy. So check that out if you want to learn about the company or just want a refresher. All right, that is it for today. Thanks for listening. If you have any feedback, please leave that below. You can also contact me on Twitter at MJMarkets. Follow me there if you want programming updates too. So that's where I posted yesterday that I wouldn't be doing an episode because I only had a couple of items to talk about. If you're interested in supporting the channel, my Patreon is patreon.com/MaryJaneMarkets. If you want to stay updated on the North American cannabis sector, hit subscribe, hit that notification button, and I will chat with you soon in the next episode. Thank you.